again to all our friends at Rainmaker University. Randy Gage here with my esteemed colleague Ann Feinstein. We're here with Module 2, which is how to start your new partner fast. One of the things you'll discover in this business is you make or break your new team members in the first 2 weeks, and the first 48 hours is critical. So this module, we're going to concentrate on how you get each new partner going in that 48 hours, having them experience where they study, do, and teach simultaneously, where they get some customers and they even start enrolling some people. And it all begins, we believe the real foundation is having a grand opening.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get the 10. One of the things we recommend is called the 10 people who love you the most, and say, hey, I've started a new business. I'm having a grand opening at my house on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and I need you there. Just as you would, if you opened a new restaurant, you would call all your friends and family. You'd tell them, hey, please, if you're going out for Chinese food, I just opened a Chinese restaurant in downtown. Here's the location. If you became a real estate agent, you'd be telling your friends, hey, if you're buying or selling a house, please think of me. I want to be your personal broker. So that we really believe it's important to let your really close people know you're now in the Rain business. You've got this unique, exclusive line of wellness products that they can't find anywhere else. You want to be their personal representative, and you want them as a customer. And have fun with it. It doesn't have to be stilted. It doesn't have to be boring. It should be fun. It should be social. It should be exciting. It's just letting people know what you're doing, have them sample the products, see what it's all about. We've got a lot of new videos and marketing materials which are coming along at the time we're recording this that you'll be able to share. And you can even play some of those at your grand opening. The second big part of the equation is what we call the major blast. This was something we developed maybe in the last 10 years. And both Ann and I, we have decades of experience in this profession. But really in the last decade, this major blast is something we've just fine-tuned, where it's a big shift in philosophy from the past, where we'd say, okay, let's talk to 5 or 6 people. Maybe we find 2 that are serious, and we then sponsor those tour, and then we spend those 2, and then we spend a few months working in depth with them. The idea of the major blast is, no, you're going to put this out to 50 people, 60 people, 70 people, and get them just to look at a presentation. And then, because understand, it's not your responsibility to sponsor your friends and family. You have no control over that. But it is your responsibility, if you really believe in Rain, if you really believe you've been blessed to be in Rain, then your responsibility is to share that with people and then let them look at it and make up their own mind. So we're developing a mass market recruiting tool that you can leave out for people. We're developing an intrigue video where they could just preview to see, do they have an interest? And of course, you could have home meetings, hotel meetings, live stream meetings, PowerPoint presentations, one-on-one with a flip chart. But the idea is just to invite this big group of people to take a look at a presentation.
Oh, and there is a very powerful sizzle video to get their attention. Seriously, a very powerful way of sharing the story and getting people's immediately to take a look and at least, say yes to looking at what you have to offer. So I have to tell you that's going to just resonate all over the place, Randy.
Yeah, so we want to just get them in front of a presentation. They might say yes, they might say no, they might say maybe. The only thing you can't live with is the maybe, right? So if they say no, I'm just great. Now, put them on a follow-up list. 6 months later, maybe something in their life has changed. If they say yes, they want to be a customer, get them in the customer program, and boom, they're ready to go. They say yes, they want to become a partner, enroll them, take them through the training, get them going in the business. And if they're maybe, then get them to the next step. They can make a yes or no. They're still maybe, get them to the next step in the candidate pathway to get them to a yes or no. So what happens is, and the reason we've changed this approach is because of the candidate pathway, because of the tools, the fact that Byron and Jeff and Travis and the corporate team is making this big investment in you guys, in developing these tools, in developing this system. It's so you can scale. Whereas before you could only work with 2 people because you would have to spend 2 to 3 hours doing an orientation with them. Then you would have to spend all the time doing presentations for them. All of that's changed now with the RAIN system and having the tools that allow you really could enroll 8 people in a week and get them through a training, which Ann is going to break down for you in just a couple of minutes. And you'll see, wow, I really will be able to do this on a bigger level. So that's what we mean by the major blast. And there'll be more training on this in depth in Rainmaker U. But when they first join, they get that first order, get in their home, open up their first order with them, help them make sure they understand everything, get the brand X products out of their homes, right? Those other junk they bought in the health food stores or they bought online that might have a lot of bad preservatives in there and artificial sweeteners and things that they don't really want. So take a few minutes and do that. Walk them through the back office, show them if the mobile app is working in your country, show them how the functionality of that, how to just get in their back office. Hey, here's how you enroll someone. Here's how you set up your auto ship subscription. Here's where you find this training. Here's where you find the Rainmaker U with Ann and Randy. I just show them how that stuff works and give them the peace of mind so they know, wow, there's a whole training and support structure here that has a vested interest in my success. And a big part of it you're going to see in a couple of minutes where Ann is going to break down is what we call the new partner orientation, or NPO. So the NPO is, I believe it's 28 pages as of this recording, a 28-page booklet to take your people step by step through the process of setting up their business. And there's a number of things that happen here. First, it reinforces them that they made a good decision, right? When people join a business, sometimes 2 days later, they're like, man, did I do the right thing? This just kind of reassures them. Yeah, here's what you're a part of. Here's what this movement of seed source nutrition is about. Here's what the foundation is about. This is why RAIN does what RAIN does. This is the commitment of your sponsorship line. So it reduces that buyer remorse that could happen. It keeps the retention rate really high. And most importantly, it gets them off to a fast start where they are actually doing their grand opening. They're doing their major blast. They're getting customers. They're getting new partners. And again, you make or break them in the first 2 weeks. And this is going to get them into action right away. And I think most importantly, it shows them what the revenue producing activities are, what we call Rainmaker activity, right? You're watching this training because you want to make it rain. You want to build the business. You want to develop a team. This is what it's all about. So, Ann, you did so much work on this NPO. It's the marketing team did a beautiful job putting it together in a booklet. Would you please kind of walk people through what's in there and how they're going to use it with their new partners?
Yes, absolutely, Randy. And I'm excited because when you have a roadmap laid out in front of you, it just makes everything about our startup and getting started effectively fast and efficient. And so one of the first things we want to do is we want to sit down and say to them, listen, really think through the sections here. We're going to start with goals, and the goals start with what are the dreams. And one of the things that I really picked up on in talking to the top leaders here at Rain is that those diamonds had dreams. They had dreams, they had visions, they had aspirations. And they've all talked about that because that's something that's part of the culture here. Really getting people to focus in on what they want and how they want to make a change in their life. And the second thing is, I like to take people through what I call wellness goals. Because very frankly, if things are going on, changes are happening to you, you may not even notice them. And they could be very subtle. And then if you've taken an inventory and actually written out what are some of the goals that you want to achieve from a wellness point of view, and you write them down and date it, and then you come back and you could even take pictures if you want. You know, if you're looking to get into better fitness, take some pictures, take measurements. We always say anything that can be measured can be improved. And so if you take that information down at the beginning, I have to tell you that over the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months down the road, you're going to see changes. You're going to say, you know what? This is a really cool concept here of how to take care of your body and really enforce it with great nutrition. Now, the third thing is we want to talk about financial objectives because we want people to correlate the time involved with the kind of results that they want financially. So if they're looking to put in, like Randy says, 10 to 15 hours a week of really doing revenue producing activities, then you can sit down and help them come up with how many customers do they need? How many partners do they need? Or what we call a RAIN partner team. Okay. And this is a really cool way of getting your new team members started with the concept that's laid out right in the book. And it actually shows what the structure looks like with getting 2 new customers, which would be a really, effective way to get your customer base started. And of course, what Randy was talking about in doing the grand opening. And then by setting up a couple of presentations, local presentations, as well as using the tools for distance presentations, you'll certainly be able to come up with and get help enrolling 2 new RAIN partners. Now, the idea is to help those 2 do the same thing and come up with another 2 RAIN partners on each side, and then you have a full team. Now, I have to tell you what makes this so cool is that it opens up so many different parts of the comp plan. So what's happening then is that between a grand opening, getting these presentations up and going and getting things moving, okay, it makes the whole system and the whole process easier. As you come about a quick startup and you're able to tell people, I set up my RAIN partner team in this amount of time, it's going to help them set goals and it's going to help them with their duplication process. So guys, I always say, become the role model, okay, and really show the people what they need to do to get up started and get quickly to those people into their funnel. We say into the funnel, coding the funnel, okay, so that they have new partners and new customers coming out. Now, the way we get them into the funnel is that, obviously we want to start making a list, and we want to put together a list of the people that we say, between friends and people that we work with, and whether it's with children's activities, family activities, activities that you may be doing at the gym, or you may be doing with dance clubs or any kind of physical activity, or even all of your sports and hobbies. The idea is that you want to come up with at least and help them and make sure they've come up with at least 25 names. Because what happens then is that as they start to get excited about this, they start to talk to people, and we're going to give people in the new partner orientation, the NPO, we actually give them great tips on how to start the conversation, how to break the ice, okay, how to go from what I say is, that friend zone, Randy. People get into conversations with people and they say many times, I don't know how to make the transfer over into the business. Well, guess what, guys? The NPO is going to actually give them suggestions on real conversations or real ways of texting back and forth so that you can get past that paralyzing friend zone and actually start to talk about the business and make an invitation. And then, as I mentioned earlier, because I have to tell you, I'm so excited about these tools in being able to take people through, we say, a bigger picture and greater belief and better understanding, but it starts with something that sizzles. And I have to say that Randy, from the very beginning, getting this story and understanding the power of seed nutrition and the way in which this was created in a 2.5-minute video that, honestly, guys, if people don't get excited about it, you better put a rose underneath their nose or a mirror under their nose, because I vibrate.
Put a rose on the coffin if they don't.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, I vibrate every time I watch this video. And then to think that, as they say, yes, I want to learn more, you can invite them to an event that you have planned, because in the first 7 days, we want to get people off to a fast start. And so right in the NPO, there's actually a checklist, okay, to help your contacts of your new partners get up and started fast. And how that reach out that Randy talked about, not only the people that online and people that from the local area and the people that in your world, in your life, can all be introduced to this in a quick and efficient manner. And as they develop more interest, obviously, as Randy was saying, you have other tools that you can use to tell them more about the products, to tell them more about the business opportunity, and understand one thing, guys, and that is tools never have a bad day. Okay, tools never have a bad day. They always have a dynamic behind them that will help you to really show people the power of what's here with Rain. So you want to make sure your new team member fills their toolbox with the information that they're going to need. I always say have extra products around, because you want to be able to offer people and get your new person started fast. You may actually help them with some products at their grand opening until their products arrive. So by having extra products around, you can move your business even faster. You can share products with the team. You can get the tools up and running with your team. Make sure that people have the marketing materials. They know where the mobile app is, how to operate it, okay, in their country. And then all these wonderful booklets you're going to start to see rolling out, okay, to share more about the Rain products and the Rain opportunity. So we have a really dynamic support structure here, guys, with the tools, with the marketing, with the Rain platform, social media groups. I mean, there's a fabulous team that's come on board here to do marketing for all of you around the world and social media around the world. I am just so delighted and excited to see how all this is coming together. So, guys, we want to really get in there quickly and help our people, as Randy was saying, in the first 7 days, set up their grand opening, okay? Open the doors, let people know what they're doing, set up that 2 to 3 business presentations and help them with that. Be the person that's going to be there for them. Randy, I remember a friend of mine telling me this, a very dear friend of mine, saying that there were about 10,000 network marketers were surveyed. And when they were surveyed, you know what the number one thing they were looking for? And they were looking for hands-on support. And that stuck in my head all these years in terms of the type of sponsorship that we can be giving to people and really giving them hands-on support. And that's what this new partner orientation booklet is designed to do, is to really help them, okay, walk through getting started fast. So there's a checklist in terms of planning for success. You can take them right through the checklist, make sure, they have all the steps in place. They've gotten their kits, you've gone through and opened the box with them. You've made sure they have a subscription set up. you're working with them to help them set up their goals. And then, of course, setting up their list, being sure they have the materials that they need in order to, properly introduce Rain to the people they're talking to. They have a great scripts that they can look at and get familiar with, get past the friend zone in talking about the business, inviting them to your grand openings and your presentations. And guys, we're going to be here to be supportive of you and to really help you month after month with these trainings. So, Randy, and just summing all this up, okay, we say that the most important thing is we have to really look at this as a study, do, and teach business. Okay, it's so important to be able to have that study, do, and teach attitude, because guys, you know what? You're going to learn something, you're going to go out there and do it, and then you're going to teach it to someone else. And that's the real true power of unleashing the power of duplication. And the NPO is designed to help you with a faster duplication process, to be able to make this more efficient, to make this more effective. And so I would encourage you to bring this into your culture. Okay, make sure it's a very important part of the startup of your new partners getting involved, getting started quickly, getting started effectively. And then, from there, you're going to scale the business. Okay. And in scaling, you're going to take the NPO, you're going to make it part of your culture, and you're going to be able to enroll more people each and every week and be more efficient as it starts to grow and build within your team. After you've built your foundation, okay, and laid that foundation, then you're going to get into actually starting your major blast. And I got to tell you guys, this is where we really get into action. Okay. And this is really where you're going to help your new partner focus in on what they're going to do in the first 7 days. And as Randy mentioned earlier, we're talking about a grand opening. If you go into it with that kind of energy, that you're opening your business and you're bringing people together to show them about, talk to them and show them the products, be able to taste them and sample them, learn more about them, use the tools that we have on the product. So everything will be congruent and everything will be something that they can see themselves doing. If they choose at some point down the road, you want your people thinking this each and every step along the way. I can do that. Well, I can show that video. I can point to that next tool. I can, utilize these presentations. And my sponsorship line is going to be here to answer the questions. I can do that. And that's exactly the way you want people to come to a logical conclusion, okay, at the end of your presentations. Those 2 to 3 presentations you're going to do for your local market, well, guess what? They're going to be a great training ground for them reaching out to the international or, across the country. Okay, you're far away or further away candidates that you're going to want to share this with, and you're going to be able to tell them about the great opening and the idea of having the presentations because you've already done it. See, if we put into practice a simple system and get people to do something consistently over a period of time, that's what duplication is. Okay, and that's the cool thing here, because you have a systematic approach. Now, at that point, part of the major blast is, that whole digital campaign. And we say digital because in the old days, we used to just pick up the phone and actually call somebody. Well, today, if you pick up the phone and just call somebody direct that you don't talk to all the time, I mean, chances are, A, they won't answer the phone, or B, okay, they'll pick up the phone like my brother does and says, is everything all right? So the idea is that,
or they will call the police and report you as a stalker because they've never had anyone call them in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So, I get it, guys. So that's why we go digital. Okay. We send a text message to someone. We get them excited. We talk about we're doing a new project. Well, guess what? We're going to show you actually how to reach out and approach people. And we're going to be able to give you some great tips right here in the new partner orientation, so that you're not just, winging it and trying to figure it out, because most people have this fear, okay, of being rejected. And I can tell you, I was one of those people. I mean, what if they keep saying no? And I could just see that, big loser on my head. So The fact of the matter is that we thought this through and we said, you know what? If we give people some realistic conversation starters, realistic ways to approach people, okay, and make it natural conversation, and then just make it a simple process without any pressure for them just to take a look at a 2 to 3 minute video. Guys, I mean, how many people would say, yeah, sure, okay, the idea is to open their eyes and that sizzled video will blow their minds. So as a result of that, we've got a really good systematic approach here. Then we get into, the fact that we have an actual list again for planning for success. Because I say this over and over again, and Randy agrees with me, it's like you can't say something enough or over and over again, when somebody's starting something new, that they see it over and over again, and guess what? Okay, it starts to stick. So we have another checklist here, okay, and we go through and we talk about, daily method of operation, DMO. What is the DMO that you should be doing on a daily basis in order to be able to build your business, or as we say, expand your audience, grow your business, grow your influence, okay, and then be able to promote to them. So those three simple steps, okay, get laid out in a simple way when you have great tools. And that's what we have right here, so that everything in your Rain startup with your new member is congruent, okay, is congruent with the system, is congruent with that ladder of escalation of expanding their vision, and then for them to then make it easy, yes, I'd like to be able to see more and talk to you about it. So Randy, let's just kind of summarize, what we have going on here with this whole idea that I truly believe, having been a former teacher, that this really is a study, do, and teach business. So we study something and then we get out there and we do it, okay? And the do is what makes the whole business move, which starts the momentum. And so the faster you can get your new member into momentum with the activities that they can do within that given period of time for startup, well, guess what, guys? You're going to keep them in the business longer. Like Randy says, have a much higher retention. So talk about that, okay, in terms of how we can sum this up on the MPO.
Yeah. One of the things you're going to see if you spend some time with the Black Rain Diamonds is they understand the importance of building culture. Amateurs and beginners, they think it's all about tactics. Oh, give me another script. Give me another technique. What's a hack where I could do this quicker? The people who maintain long-term success and reach the highest levels of success, they understand it's about creating culture, because culture tells us how to act when there isn't a checklist. Ann and I, we're crazy for checklists. We love to delineate things. Here's the 5 steps to do. Here's the 4 principles to follow. There's a place for that. And there's a place for, hey, what happens when there is no rule? This situation never came up before. That's where culture is. And when you start your new distributor right, you're creating that culture. You approach the business with passion, intensity, and urgency. You show them, hey, we have a rank advancement culture. We like people breaking ranks as quick as possible. Let's see, how soon can we get you to gold? Hey, how soon can we get you to platinum? What's your long-term goal about getting to diamond? You build in that culture. And the other thing with your culture that's really huge early is this Rain partner team. It's a very complex plan to get paid in our business, right? Compensation plans they're not simple. You have commissions and you have overrides and generations and different levels. And it's a lot for a new person to handle. But you know what they can handle? The idea of a Rain partner team. And really, going back to Byron and the Diamonds, who the real pioneers with Rain International, they created that concept of the Rain partner team because they understood this shows anyone exactly how to maximize their payout in the compensation plan. So we built that into the NPO. We didn't go into the dollar amounts, because remember, that's going to be different in every country. In different countries have different products. But the concept of the Rain Partner team, when you create the culture, hey, this is what we do with new people to get them started fast. We get them to build out their Rain Partner team. So build the NPO into your culture, and then keep extra ones in stock. And then as soon as you enroll someone, give them a printed one. Yes, there's a PDF online. Yes, they'll be able to access it from the mobile app or the back office, but give them one anyway, and make this part of your culture. And then and kind of talk about the homework or the timeline that really will get somebody going fast.
Yeah, what I find is that, if you actually give people, or actually talk with the person and say, hey, listen, let's set a date, okay, for your grand opening. And you actually open up the calendar, you put the date in there, the time, the location, everything's in there. Of course, it's in yours as well, being the sponsor. Then everybody has something to work towards. Okay, and there'll be a very clear sequence of activities in order to make that successful. Okay, which is simple and easy and fun. Okay, then obviously you want to have those 2 to 3 presentations booked out so that they know they can invite people to hear a presentation, and the sponsor can be available, either in person or on, Zoom or wherever, however else you choose, whatever platform, and be able to answer questions. So now you have that in the book, and everybody has, again, a clear roadmap as to where they're going. Then, of course, you want to make sure they review the NPO, because, that is like part of the homework. They have to get the homework done. They have to go back and look at their vision. They have to set those goals. They have to have a picture of the direction of where they want to go. And one of the things that we also recommend is just sit down and make a dream board. Randy, you and I talk about that all the time. Dream boards make dreams come true. And that is just sitting down and putting pictures and things together that you want to change in your life and the kind of lifestyle that you want. I remember the time that Dana and I did that for the first time with, cutting out pictures and putting them on a great big oak board together. And I have to tell you, we achieved every one of those because it was a subconscious thing we could see. Every time we looked on our refrigerator, we would see that and we would revisualize what we wanted and why we were working to go after it. So guys, I want you to envision, okay, your Rain Partner team. You're going to have a Rain Partner team. And I don't know about you, but that gets exciting to me, because Randy and I know that is the start of duplication. And the power of duplication here is what makes things amazing, momentum happen. And as we like to say, you bring the dream, and the system and Rain is going to bring the thunder. So guys, have a wonderful, rich, and perfect week ahead. And we will see you here again at Rainmaker University next month. Bye for now.
Peace.